In the heart of the bustling city of Alvador, nestled between towering skyscrapers and ancient cobblestone streets, stood the Alvador Museum of History. The museum was famous for its collection of rare and priceless artifacts from ancient civilizations. But of all the treasures housed within its walls, none was more precious than the Phoenix Relic, a shimmering, golden artifact said to hold the power of rebirth and renewal. For centuries, legends had been told about the Phoenix Relic. It was said to be a gift from the gods, granting its holder the ability to rise from any defeat stronger than before. Though no one had ever seen its magic in action, its beauty alone made it a treasure beyond compare. One stormy night, just as the city was settling into sleep, disaster struck. The alarms at the museum rang out, piercing the quiet night. The Phoenix Relic had been stolen. Detective Elena Cruz was called to the scene within minutes. Known for her sharp instincts and keen eye for detail, Elena was Alvador's best detective. She had solved some of the city's most complex cases, but as she stood in the shattered remains of the museum's exhibit hall, she felt a sinking feeling in her gut. This was no ordinary theft. The glass case that had housed the Phoenix Relic was shattered, but there were no signs of forced entry. The security cameras had been mysteriously disabled, and none of the guards had seen or heard anything unusual. It was as if the thief had vanished into thin air. Elena crouched beside the display, examining the fragments of glass on the floor. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were after, she muttered. This wasn't just a random heist. Her partner, Officer Ryan Malik, stepped up beside her. "You think they're after the relic's powers?" he asked, his voice low. Elena shook her head. "If the stories are true, this relic could be more dangerous in the wrong hands than we can imagine. We need to get it back, and fast." The investigation began immediately. Elena and Ryan scoured the museum for clues, interviewing the staff and reviewing the scant evidence left behind. But the thief had been careful, too careful. Days passed with no leads, and the pressure from the city and the museum's curators only grew. But Elena wasn't about to give up. Something about this case nagged at her, as if there was a piece of the puzzle she was missing. One evening, as she sat in her office, poring over the case files for what felt like the 100th time, a knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. A young man stood in the doorway, his face pale and nervous. I know who took the relic," he whispered. His name was Max, and he worked as a janitor at the museum. According to him, he had overheard a conversation between two people late at night, just a few days before the theft. They had been talking about the Phoenix Relic, about its powers, and about a plan to steal it. "I didn't think much of it at the time," Max said, wringing his hands. "But after the relic was stolen, I realized they must have been serious." Elena's pulse quickened. "Who were they? Did you recognize their voices?" Max shook his head. "I didn't see them, and they were speaking quietly, but I caught a name, Alekos." Alekos. The name sent a chill down Elena's spine. Alekos was a notorious figure in the underworld, a man known for his dealings in rare and powerful artifacts. If he had the Phoenix Relic, there was no telling what he might do with it. "We need to find him," Elena said, standing up. "If Alekos has the relic, the entire city could be in danger." The search for Alekos led Elena and Ryan deep into the shadows of Alvador's criminal underworld. They followed every lead, questioned every informant, and finally, after days of searching, they found him. Alekos was holed up in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The warehouse was heavily guarded, but Elena wasn't about to let that stop her. She and Ryan devised a plan, carefully mapping out their approach. Under the cover of darkness, they made their move. The guards were tough, but Elena and Ryan were tougher. They fought their way through, inching closer to the heart of the warehouse. And there, in the center of the room, surrounded by stacks of stolen treasures, sat the Phoenix Relic. But as Elena approached the relic, something strange happened. The air around it seemed to shimmer, and a soft glow emanated from its surface. For a moment, Elena hesitated. The relic was more than just a treasure. It was alive, pulsating with power. Before she could react, Alekos appeared, a smug smile on his face. "I knew you'd come," he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. You're too predictable, detective. Elena's heart raced. You don't know what you're dealing with, Alekos. That relic isn't just a prize, it's dangerous. Alekos chuckled. Oh, I know exactly what it is. With this relic, I can't be defeated. I can rise from any fall, stronger than before. I'll be unstoppable. Elena tightened her grip on her weapon. You're wrong. The relic isn't meant for power-hungry men like you. It's meant for something far greater. Aliko sneered. And you think you can stop me? Without warning, he lunged for the relic, his hand outstretched. But before he could touch it, Elena acted. With lightning-fast reflexes, she knocked him aside, sending him crashing into a pile of crates. But it was too late. The relic's glow intensified, filling the room with a blinding light. Elena shielded her eyes, but she could feel the power surging around her. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the light faded. Alekos lay unconscious on the ground, his body motionless. Elena breathed a sigh of relief. The relic's power had been contained, at least for now. With Alekos in custody and the Phoenix Relic safely returned to the museum, the city of Alvador could finally rest easy. But Elena knew that the relic's power would always be a temptation for those who sought it. As she stood in the museum's exhibit hall, looking at the relic encased behind layers of glass and security, she couldn't help but wonder, what other secrets did the Phoenix Relic hold? And would anyone ever be able to unlock its true power? For now, the relic was safe. But in a city like Alvador, where history and mystery intertwined, anything was possible.